Alexis King to share some of that with us. Good morning, Lex.
Good morning to you, Miss Janet. Now, we have a wonderful city here because we have a lot of things going on, a lot of different performance arts, and today we have a very special guest in the studio. So let's go on over. I want to introduce you and our audience to John Scollon and Lyon Hill. Welcome to the studio this morning.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Okay, well, you guys are from the Columbia Marionette Theater. And I have to say, I never have been to a marionette theater before I came to yours.
Wow, that's great. You know, a lot of people said that when we first came to Columbia and started up over 23 years ago. There was a lot of people did not know even what a marionette was, and a lot of people thought we were a hotel and were trying to book reservations at the Marriott. So it took kind of a while for us to actually get the word out that a marionette is a type of a puppet. It's a puppet that's on strings, and that we do shows every weekend here in Columbia. And now, 23 years later, everybody across the state knows what a marionette is.
Now, I remember that my first experience maybe of seeing a marionette is probably like at the Sound of Music when they did the little show. So that's basically what you're talking about on a bigger scale, kind of.
Right. Bill Baird was the one who did those puppets for that show. You know, it looks like they have the kids doing it, but Bill Baird is a world-famous puppeteer. He did all the puppetry on that show. And it is something that appears small, but it can be a huge thing. Our stage is 30 feet wide, and we stand on bridges and have 9-foot strings on our main stage theater.
Well, and I did get a chance to come over to your theater, and I love it. The outside is built like a big, castle. And I also would like to introduce our guest to Mr. Sereff, who's been sitting there very quietly. Hello, Mr. Sereff.
Oh, hello there, Alexis. Oh, it's such a pleasure to be off that puppet rack.
Well, it's very nice to meet you.
Oh, yes, and I just loved your weather report. A nice, breezy, sunny day. I tell you, that just makes me ecstatic. It's going to be a beautiful day, I can tell it.
It's going to be a beautiful day. Now, you sound like you're from the South.
Oh, yes, born and raised right here in South Carolina. Although I must confess I was constructed in the Czech Republic, if you can believe that. Yep, but I'm carved by a true Southern gentleman right here, Mr. Lyon Hill by my side.
So you carved him, you carved Mr. Sereff yourself?
That's right, at a 3-week workshop in Prague, studying under a Czech marionette master. So yeah, he's carved wood and has a very unique control bar here. Most of our control bars are very different. This is an Eastern European control bar.
You know, I have to say, in my, fantasy land, Mr. Sereff would have had like an X formation. I don't know why that's what I was expecting.
Those are pretty much the basic, most simple marionette, and you'll see those in a lot of store-bought marionettes where you have just a simple crisscross, and you'll have 2 strings to the hands and 2 to the feet, and then 1 to the head. But as the puppet gets more complicated, you need the strings to go from different places, and sometimes you can have 20 strings on one human-style marionette.
Okay.
Our average is about 11.
11? That's
Yeah.
great. Now that seems very complicated to me. I mean, wouldn't it be easier just to like stick your hand up one of the puppets and just like do that?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
that's a hand puppet.
a hand puppet doesn't work the same as a marionette. You can't see a hand puppet's entire body because, of course, your hand is stuck in the bottom of it. With a marionette, you can get a full body scale and get a lot more realism out of that, and the possibilities are really quite endless.
Right. I mean, you can see Mr. Sereff here, like, moving around quite naturally, actually, scratching his little head.
Yeah, well, I'm not as nimble as I used to be, I must confess.
Well, I know how you feel, Mr. Sereff.
You're going to learn how to work a puppet, too, in a few minutes, from what I understand.
I'm getting kind of scared. It really does look complicated. But I did want to say one last thing, is that you are very popular over there. So I went to the Marionette Theater to meet you about 11 days ago, something like that. I couldn't get a parking spot. It was filled, the parking lot was filled to the gills. So you must be doing well and entertaining lots of kids.
Yes, it's one of those things where it amazes us that 23 years later we can still have such a great following. We're talking generations now, because a lot of these kids that are coming now, their parents used to come to us many years ago. So it's a wonderful thing, and every day I walk into the theater, I can't thank my lucky stars enough for being able to find a town that will support this thing for so long.
Well, then you know it's a success. Were you always interested in puppets? Like, were you a big Jim Henson fan?
Yes, I grew up around puppets. My mom was a puppeteer, Allie
great.
Scollon, and she founded the theater back when I was kind of young and silly.
That just answered my next question, was how long you were there. Perfect. All right, so this is a family business. I'm going to get to the art of learning how to work a puppet. Puppetry. Is that the correct term?
Puppetry,
Okay,
absolutely.
there you go. I'm glad I got something right. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to be back in a few minutes with more with Mr. Sereff and Lyon and John Scollon. Stick around. He's good.